I'm Richard Serrett. Join me on Strange Planet for in-depth conversations with the world's top paranormal investigators, alien abductees, Bigfoot trackers, monster hunters, time travelers, and more.
The handler one day told her this whole thing about how they've been terraforming on Mars and they're building a colony and they're recruiting specific people of specific bloodlines and specific talents and skill sets to go onto the planet.
On Richard Serrett's Strange Planet, we're redefining reality. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
Stoicism. It's all about being resilient and self-reliant, right? It's all about being a man, needing no one, and having no emotional response to the external world whatsoever, right? Well, if that's what you think Stoicism is, and you'd like to learn what actual, capital S, Stoicism is, the ancient Greek and Roman philosophy and virtue ethics framework centered around developing a good character and service to the cosmopolis, then hi, I'm Tanner Campbell, and I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my podcast, Practical Stoicism. Every weekday, I release a new episode focused on actual Stoicism, and if that's your thing, I hope you'll check it out. You can find Practical Stoicism wherever you already listen to podcasts or at stoicismpod.com.
Grab your fanciest bib and your biggest appetite because you're listening to the Tennis Podcast. If you're new here, my name is Nick Amell. I am your host. Every week on this show, me and my rotating panel of guest sidekick hosts discuss the top 10ish list on a random topic along with fun facts, trivia, and hot takes. My guest sidekick host today is Dan Pashman, the two-time James Beard and Webby Award-winning creator and host of The Sporkful. Dan, I'm so glad you're here today.
Hey Nick, thanks for having me.
Just to tell the folks a little more about you, you're obviously the host of that podcast, The Sporkful. You're also a creator and host of cooking channels You're Eating It Wrong and a contributor to NPR and Milk Street Radio. Your work has been featured on The Today Show, CBS, Planet Money, and a ton more. I could keep going, but in your own words, Dan, who are you? Why are you here?
I mean, you did a good job there. I mean, yeah, I host this food podcast called The Sporkful. Our motto is it's not for foodies, it's for eaters. And the show's evolved a lot over the years. I've been doing it since 2010, since the Stone Ages of podcasting, but the basic idea is that, I feel like you can use food to get into just about any topic. Through food, we talk to food people, but also comedians and random folks and people of all different walks of life, and use food to get into issues of science and history and race and identity and economics, but then also just sort of have very silly episodes sometimes, like arguing about the best way to layer the components of PB&J.
Yeah.
So we have all those things. And then I had a big project a couple years back. I invented a new shape of pasta.
That's right.
Called cascatelli, and that kind of went viral. We did a whole story on the Sporkful about the creation. I spent 3 years inventing this shape of pasta called cascatelli, and actually just this past January I launched 2 new shapes. These are ones I didn't invent, but they're obscure Italian shapes that I teamed up with this pasta company called Sfollini. Sfollini makes the original cascatelli, and they make these new shapes, Vesuvio and Quattratini, so folks can check those out. You can get them at Sfollini's website or in a bunch of stores.
Yeah, I love what was it? Quattratini?
Quattratini, yes.
Okay. It sounds good. It sounds like it's going to be a good pasta, right?
Thank you,
when
yeah.
You hear that name?
It's sort of like, imagine like a short square tube,
Mm-hmm.
but every corner of the square is a mini round tube.
I got to look this thing up.
It's got like a ton of surface area. Like the amount of sauce that it holds is insane.
Okay, I see it. Yeah. Wow. That looks amazing because, like you said, there's so many pockets for sauce to get in there.
A crazy amount of sauce.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to share links in the show notes for our listeners to check this out.
Cool.
But Dan, I guess I just want to start with what got you so invested in covering food in the first place? What made you want to do this for a living?
Well, I love to eat. And I have a lot of opinions about food. I'm not a trained chef. I just love to eat. My background really is in radio and audio. So when I graduated from college a couple of decades ago, my dream was to host my own radio show. And I worked at radio stations and various outlets and things, and tumultuous time in media. Long story short, like the internet was messing everything up, and traditional radio was on the decline. So I ended up working on a lot of shows that kept getting canceled. And finally, I decided, I figured, well, podcasting seems like it's the future. If I want to host something, I should just start my own podcast. And at least if I own the podcast, no one can cancel it but me.
Yeah.
And I said, what should my podcast be about? And I brainstormed some ideas, and I felt, like I worked a lot in news radio and politics and stuff, but I kind of felt like I have opinions on that too, but I don't really know that anyone needs to hear them.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have anything all that special to add to the political conversation. But when it comes to food, I was like, well, I guess my approach to food is kind of idiosyncratic. I'm hyper obsessed about all the littlest details of the eating experience. And maybe that could be a show. So I launched the Sporkful in 2010, and it's been slowly growing since then.
That is, like you called it the Stone Age. That is like an amazing length of time for a podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I'm one of the OPs, original podcasters.
Yeah. I wonder, well, maybe I don't know. But what was the first like podcast that was actually called a podcast,
I don't know. I don't know that anyone can agree on exactly what the first one is, but it was probably 2008, 2007, 2008.
Sounds right. Mm-hmm.
But back then, like you had to like download it through your iTunes on your computer and then sync it to your iPod. This is before smartphones. Yeah. You had to then sync the podcast to your iPod. So it was a lot of work involved in listening to a podcast. You had to get it on your computer and transfer it to your device and do that before you left the house when you had internet, because you wouldn't have internet connection once you left the house. And then to be able to go out into the world and listen while on the go, you would have to do all these preparations to load everything onto your iPod. It was like, I don't know, describing it now, it sounds even more ancient.
Describing it now, it's like, I would never do that.
Yeah, I know. Like it felt cumbersome even then, but now, considering how convenient things are, I can't believe anyone ever did it.
Yeah, well, it's amazing that it took off, and thankfully it did for you and I. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Given the work involved, it's amazing it took off. But yeah, podcasting is exploded, much like your show, over 600 episodes. Crazy. Now, I do have a top 10 list for you to guess today, but before we get to that, I have one question. Since you're a foodie, you love food. I love food too,
right?
Believe it or not. There's a common kind of recurring question that I talk to my co-hosts about on this show. And the question is, if since the beginning of time, instead of water, so rain, the oceans are made of water, the water that comes out of your sink is water, H2O, you replace all that with peanut butter, would the world be a better or worse place because of that?
I assume we're like taking out any like potential like, oh, life can't actually exist without water. This is just like hypothetical.
Now life can only exist with peanut butter.
Oh, all right. So you're assuming that if peanut butter served the same function as the basis for all life. I love the ocean. And I think that being rained on by peanut butter would be an unpleasant sensation.
You'd get used to it,
I love peanut butter.
Yeah.
But I love the ocean. I love swimming. I love being at the beach. I don't think that swimming in peanut butter or being rained on by peanut butter would be sensations that I don't go out of my way to get rained on, but if I get rained on, it's not the biggest deal. But like if you like get caught in the rain on your way from whatever, the subway or the train to your office, and you show up for work that day and you have a thick coating of peanut butter on your entire body, that's a real issue just in getting through the day. That stuff's going to get into all kinds of cracks and crevices.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to get on your chair and on your laptop. Now, everything is just going to be stuck. The entire world would be ground to a halt, Nick. Cars wouldn't be able to drive. No. How do you drive a car through a puddle of peanut butter?
See,
I don't know if you've thought through the logistics.
No, this is the question here, because now think about it. When let's say you get rained on by the peanut butter on your way to work.
Okay.
Or even on your way home from work, and you get in home and you're like, I got to wash this off. I'm going to take a shower. Well, guess what? Your shower is also peanut butter coming out. There's no water to wash the peanut butter away.
Yeah.
And also all the cars and things that are being stuck in the peanut butter, well, they would have had to come up with new technology that makes cars go, right? So the whole world's different, Dan. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not the world you and I know.
This is some everything everywhere all at once level stuff here.
Yeah.
I mean, what could we compromise on like a peanut butter sauce? Like the sauce they might put on an ice cream sundae that would be like, it's peanut butter flavored, but it has like, whether it's melted butter, whatever else they put into it. Try not butter because that would solidify on ice cream, whatever it is. I just want it to be a little bit more viscous and not quite so thick and sticky. And, Reese's peanut butter syrup, could we compromise on that?
I'm thinking if I'm willing to compromise, and I just don't know if the question packs as much punch if we're compromising on the peanut butter substance. You kind of got to go all in on it.
Would it be crunchy or smooth?
Well, that's another thing. I think there's pros and cons. Well, before I answer that, quick side thing. Also, think about people with peanut butter allergies or peanut allergies.
Yeah, you
Right.
must hate those people, Nick.
I-
Is that really the end goal of this podcast? You just want all them to die?
I'm not the one replacing the water with peanut butter. That's a higher power beyond
see.
me.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
just living in this world. I think you have to do creamy peanut butter. I think crunchy gets too messy.
Right.
Yeah.
And are you generally like, if your hands are messy or you have a stain on your shirt or whatever, like, does that annoy you? Or do you, some people just don't care. Some people don't even notice if they have a thing on, but to me, like, I hate the feeling of having a coating on my hands.
I don't like it either. I'm a frequent hand washer, and you're right, because how do you deal with that with peanut butter? And by the way, how does the peanut butter even come out of the faucet and not get clogged up in there?
Yeah, the syrup would work better. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, the syrup would work better, but it is sticky. Although I think it is stickier than normal peanut butter, right?
The syrup.
Yeah, the syrup.
I mean, but it's more like a liquid, so I think you could wipe it off more easily.
Maybe.
What's your take here, Nick? You're asking everyone else.
No, I think
Is it a better place?
I think it might be a better place just because for all the inconveniences that we're talking through, it would force humans to adapt our technology, our lives, our bodies, everything would have to change. So humans would have evolved to be more, I don't know.
Peanut butter adapted?
Yeah, but then again, so are the animals, because now you have fish swimming in peanut butter oceans.
Right. I mean, yeah. The funny thing is we're kind of in that situation now, though, aren't we? But it's like with global warming.
Sure.
We have to adapt and come up with new technologies. But you're saying, let's not worry about that. What if instead the problem is peanut butter?
I'm saying instead of worrying about the real life problems of global warming, let's have our best scientists and all the smart people in the world focus their energy instead on the hypothetical situation of a peanut butter replacing water world.
Look, I would like to experience it for one day.
Yeah, right.
That'd
be nice.
I think that'd be a fun day. I think after a few years, you'd be sick of peanut butter.
I think after a few minutes, you'd be sick of peanut butter. But point taken.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's a debate that rages on. I invite the listeners to let us know their thoughts. But I'm going to transition us now to this list. Dan, you love food. How do you feel about ordering food in?
So I live in the suburbs, a ways outside New York City. We almost never get food delivered, but we often will call and place an order and then go pick it up.
Mm-hmm. I do that too.
Yeah.
So the list I'm going to have you guess today is the top 10 most ordered food on DoorDash.
Okay. Is this individual dishes most ordered or like cuisines?
Well, I'm going to have you do both. It's actually, I have the top 5 individual dishes and the top 5 cuisines. So it's actually 2 mini lists in one.
Okay.
And I use DoorDash. I know there's a lot of other delivery services out there. There's Uber Eats, there's Grubhub, there's others, but DoorDash is the biggest. DoorDash, 56% market share. It's the largest food delivery service in America. Over $6 billion in revenue last year. And as of 2020, DoorDash is used by 450,000 merchants, 20 million consumers, and 1 million deliverers.
Oh, okay.
Not bad for a company just founded 10 years ago.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the top 5 individual dishes.
Yep.
And the top 5 cuisines. Is that right?
Correct. In the United States.
In the United States. Now, are we measuring by dollars or are we measuring by number of
orders?
Number of orders. Okay. So more expensive foods don't have an edge.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
So the cost of the foods doesn't matter. It's just like flat out which one of these gets ordered more often.
Correct.
Okay.
And this data comes from DoorDash themselves. They published this in their financial report. Second annual Restaurant Online Ordering Trends Report. It was released in May 2022.
Okay.
I also pulled some stats from restaurantbusinessonline.com, chefspencil.com, convenience.org, and Wikipedia. So before we get guessing, I'm going to have you do the top 5 cuisines first.
Okay.
What's your favorite cuisine, would you say?
I mean, I can't, that's largely dictated by my mood, I'm all over the map. There aren't many cuisines that I don't like. In fact, I don't know if there are any, but I can't pick just one. I can't pick just one, Nick.
It's hard for me to pick against Mexican food, though. I think I probably, if I had to evaluate myself and the food I crave most often, it would probably be Mexican food.
That's fair.
Love a good taco.
Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with that. And that certainly would be on my list of delivery, of guesses for this.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm getting delivery, I also feel like, some foods travel better than others.
That affects things, absolutely. Right.
So you got to, like, if you're ordering French fries, to be delivered to your house, you don't deserve good French fries. All right, because you should never be getting French fries delivered to your house. They should never be delivered anywhere.
Hot take.
You got to get the French fries. They cannot be sealed. You cannot seal French fries. Now, like granted, it's the fast food restaurant fries in the paper bag. It's breathable enough that it will last. And also those have been treated with enough space-age chemicals that they manage to maintain crisp and heat better. And so, yes, fast food fries, you can get them to go, and you're going to eat some out of the bag as you're driving or walking.
That's key.
You know, and then you'll eat the rest soon after. Those have a little bit longer shelf life. But if these are homemade French fries, or even like run-of-the-mill food service French fries that haven't been treated with quite as many chemicals as the fast food places, which are specifically designed really to be taken to go, you should never be getting them for takeout. If French fries is on this list, I'm very upset, Nick.
Well, I don't want to give any spoilers, but we might be talking about French fries again.
Oh,
very soon.
God, come on. Well, now, but see, in fairness, like, let's say you order some kind of sandwich to be delivered. It may come with fries.
Yeah.
That's not as much your fault. If I order a sandwich and it comes with fries, I'll take the fries even if they're not great. But if you're just like, I need an order of fries, like, that's just incorrect.
I don't know who does that. Like, who orders just fries? And if you're like on a road trip and you're driving through McDonald's, I could see just buying like some fries to go. But who orders fries to be delivered and nothing else?
Maybe not in nothing else, but maybe you're like, I'm going to have a Caesar salad and a side of fries.
Yeah, I've done that. Sure. I guess that's true.
You're like, I don't really want a big thing. I want something a little bit healthy, but then the last second you're like, oh, but then add fries. You know, like you
Exactly.
You're like, let's balance the healthy with the not healthy.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah.
And I should clarify that even though most people think of DoorDash as a delivery service, this list does include pickup orders as well. That's included in the list.
Okay.
Although 75% of all DoorDash orders are delivery, there's still 25% that are pickup.
Got it. Okay.
So let's talk food cuisines. Give me a guess here that you think most people order most often on DoorDash last year in America.
So I'm torn here because, of course, we know that Chinese takeout, American style takeout restaurants are everywhere. I believe there are more Chinese takeout restaurants in America than there are McDonald's.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure that's true. There's a lot of them. I mean, there's like 3 in my little town in the suburbs. We don't have a McDonald's in our town. We have 3 Chinese restaurants.
Americans love their Chinese food.
Right. But those places, I feel like, I'm sure many of them are on DoorDash, but I'm sure some are not.
Right.
You know, it kind of depends on where you are. Like the ones in cities, probably more likely to be in DoorDash. The ones where I live, maybe not. But still, I'm just going to go with my gut. Like there's just so many of them. I got to say Chinese food.
To your point, even those like smaller suburban Chinese restaurants that might not be on DoorDash, where do most people in America live? They live in the cities, right? Those are the people ordering on DoorDash most often.
Right, right.
So yeah, Chinese is actually number 5. It's number 5 on the list, the 5th most ordered cuisine on DoorDash in America.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not higher.
I am too. Number 1 is kind of disappointing, I'll say. It's a little boring.
Is one of them American?
Yeah, that's number 1.
All right. So now this is a bigger issue for us to discuss, Nick.
Yeah.
Because like this is a legitimate and somewhat actually like a little bit more serious, thoughtful question to explore, which is what is American...
Are you saying the peanut butter thing wasn't serious before?
That was serious. No, I'm keeping it serious.
Okay.
What is American food, right? And so like by American food, what DoorDash is classifying as American food is really European food.
Right.
Okay. Now, what do we eat on 4th of July, Nick? What's the most common food to eat on 4th of July? What do you associate July 4th
Hot
with?
dogs.
Hot dogs, that's correct. That's the most common food I see people eating on 4th of July. Where are hot dogs from?
Germany?
Germany, correct.
Okay.
They're sausages, they're from Germany. Yeah, Frankfurters, just like the city of Frankfurt in Germany. So hot dogs are an immigrant food that came with German immigrants like in the late 18 and early 1900s. Chinese people have been in America for much longer, in large numbers, for much longer than German immigrants. Chinese immigrants started coming to America hundreds of years ago. Chinese were instrumental in building the railroads out west.
Exactly.
Especially on the west coast of America, there are multi-generational, long-standing Chinese-American communities and families. And yet, Chinese food is still perceived as foreign, as some sort of other cuisine. And so why is it that Chinese food is classified as one cuisine and American is another? When an American, I'm sure they'll include hamburgers, which also come from Germany, and hot dogs. They'd probably even put pizza in there.
They might, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know if Italian is one of the ones on the list, but like Chinese food has been in America for longer than hot dogs.
You're right.
And so
That was one of my notes here, is that the Chinese food really started to boom during the gold rush
right.
in the 1800s.
The mid 1800s.
That's
long
when the
before
Chinese
there
came.
were German immigrants in large numbers. But what happens is that foods associated with Europeans kind of leapfrog and get very quickly brought in as like, oh, you're American. And they're no longer considered separate European, whereas the foods associated with Asia and South Asia and Latin America, the foods associated with non-white people, are still considered foreign, even after generations and generations of being in America. So you could have Chinese people in America for 300 years, and their food is still labeled Chinese. And then you have German or Italian people in America for 100 years, and their food gets lumped in with American.
Why is that?
Racism, basically. I mean, like,
okay.
There's a perception that being American means being of European descent.
Okay, right.
And that if you are not of European descent, then you are a foreigner, no matter how long you've been in America, which is why people will go up to an Asian person and be like, where are you really from? Even if their family might have been here for 300 years.
Right. They're an American as much as you are, right?
Right, exactly. I would take issue with DoorDash on this list because I feel like they are perpetuating these stereotypes. The same thing like, why is there an international aisle in the grocery store? And I'm Jewish. Like often the kosher food goes with and I'm not kosher, but like, why is the Jewish food in the international section? Like Jews aren't Americans? Why are the Asian and Indian foods in international? Are those people not American? You know?
No, it's a great point.
My wife is from, her parents came from Czechoslovakia in 1968. So they're white, but her parents have accents. So if you meet her parents, you would know they came from somewhere else because they have an accent, and you would say, oh, where are you from? But as soon as my wife was born in America and she has no accent, she's accepted as white. No one ever asked her where she's from, even though her parents were born in another country. But an Asian person could have been here for 5 generations, and someone will still say, where are you really from? You're not really American. Why is your food in the international aisle? It's not, it's foreign. It's not American. So there's a real double standard with what is perceived as American, what is perceived as not American. Sorry for the rant.
No, that's great, because I was going to ask you the same thing.
This is a sensitive issue for me. It's when we talk about it on the Sporkful a lot, and I feel like it gets into larger themes of who gets to be called American. And so I think DoorDash should reconsider their classifications for different foods, because Chinese food is just as American as hot dogs.
And more so, perhaps, to your point.
If you go by the number of years those folks have been in America in large numbers, then yes, more so.
And maybe if you also go by the popularity, like you said, there's more Chinese restaurants than there are McDonald's, which is saying something.
Right. Right. But people still, after all these generations, perceive it as foreign, as food from from another country. So ask yourself why some foods are classified as international or foreign and other foods aren't.
Well, the sad reality is, not to bum everyone out even more, but racism is baked into the foundations of pretty much every aspect of American life.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. You know, I try not to make it too bleak. Like,
I love it bleak. Bleaker the better.
But it's obviously a big issue. And that's why I like talking about it with regard to food, because sometimes I think it's a little bit more accessible and on the surface feels less threatening to people. Like that, like people might be okay talking about like the international aisle of the grocery store, the ethnic aisle, quote unquote, which is sort of the same thing.
Right.
And it feels like a sort of harmless way to get into the subject as opposed to other perhaps more fraught ways, but it still gets you to the same point, which is like, why are some people considered American and other people aren't? Like, to me, if you're an American citizen, you're American.
Exactly.
There's no such thing as more American.
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback a point on this, Americans will take a food they perceive as foreign, like Chinese, and then they will Americanize it. There's an American Chinese genre of food now. And in fact,
which is most Chinese restaurants in America.
Exactly. And a lot of the most popular menu items in Chinese restaurants, like I have a few listed here, these you cannot find typically in an authentic Chinese restaurant in China, like beef and broccoli. The fortune cookie is an American invention. Sesame chicken. These are items that I read are very typical in an American Chinese restaurant, but not in an authentic Chinese restaurant.
Right.
And those are some of my favorites. The beef and broccoli is like one of my go-tos.
Those are delicious. It's not food that I think people are eating in China, but it's interesting. Like, this is something that tends to happen, which is like an immigrant cuisine comes and often is adapted to be made more familiar to the broader customer base. It's a business decision because if you're in a minority group and you're trying to target Europeans who may be less likely to eat spicy foods, let's say fewer acidic and fewer bitter flavors, You make it sweeter, you make it richer, you make it fattier, you make it saltier, and people of European descent are more likely to eat it. That being said, like things are changing, and like there is a lot more spicy food in America than there was when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot more acidic flavors than there were when I was growing up. The idea that sushi, raw fish with vinegared rice, which in the 1980s many Americans perceived as like the idea of eating raw fish was gross, now is like in supermarkets everywhere.
Yeah.
So it is changing, and there is progress for sure. We should acknowledge that, and hopefully the progress will continue in a positive direction.
One can hope, and I think it's a good discussion, one that is not talked about enough. Hello, listener. It's time for a fresh break to tell you about our new partner, HelloFresh. HelloFresh takes the hassle out of mealtime this spring by delivering pre-portioned ingredients and easy-to-prepare recipes right to your door. Even better, you can skip the checkout lines because HelloFresh has dinner covered. No worries if you're not a pro in the kitchen. HelloFresh's foolproof recipes arrive pre-portioned and easy to prepare in just a few steps. Trust me, if I can do it, anyone can. Even Dr. Buster, probably. HelloFresh's recipes are also fun to make. My kids love helping me bring these recipes to life in the kitchen. It's become a real bonding experience for us. Better yet, the recipes are so easy I know even my kids can't screw them up. Now it's time for you to experience HelloFresh for yourself. And just like the recipes, we're going to make it easy for you. Just go to hellofresh.com/tennish50 and use code tennish50 for 50% off, plus your first box ships free. Again, that's hellofresh.com/10ish50 and use the promo code tennish50 for 50% off and free shipping on your first box. Just check the show notes for a direct link, and you'll quickly see why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
Smoothie King asks, what's that sound? That's the sound of hearts popping out of your eyes when you see Smoothie King's all-new smoothie bowls. These Power Pack beauties are just waiting to be spooned. Our smoothie bowls start with acai or pitaya and are handcrafted with fresh toppings like sliced bananas, sweet berries, ripe mangoes, crunchy Purely Elizabeth granola, and a savory peanut butter drizzle. That's the sound of a smoothie bowl being made fresh, just for you. The new Smoothie Bowls menu, only at Smoothie King.
So, you open Google Chrome on your phone, you're hunting for a super rare first edition vinyl of a band you're obsessed with, when you're supposed to be working. But this site you tapped on seems pretty shady. And Daryl from IT just jumped up from his desk. Oh no, he's coming your way. It's a good thing built-in malware protection keeps you safe and sound. Not from Daryl, though. Sorry. There's no place like Chrome. Download Google Chrome on your phone.
But yeah, so Chinese food is number 5. Quote unquote American food, DoorDash lists as number 1. A very American food thing is fast food, which was really popularized in America. Fast food restaurants with standardized product and franchise service models began to appear and spread with the development of the highway system. The first one was White Castle in 1916, but franchising was introduced in 1921 by A&W Root Beer. And then, of course, we all know McDonald's, who created their speedy service system in 1948.
Right.
Those are all very American.
Are you a White Castle fan, Nick?
We don't have any out here.
Oh, you don't have it in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. I eat it once a year.
So you limit yourself to once a year just so you don't feel guilty? Is that why?
I mean, there's a lot of other things to eat. It's not very healthy. And so
Whoa, hang on. It's not healthy?
Yeah, I'm afraid not. Sorry to burst your bubble.
I got to rethink things here.
Yeah, but you can balance it by just drinking a glass of peanut butter straight from the faucet.
There you go. Straight from the faucet. Like, you don't need any filtering system. The peanut butter comes out pure and good for you. And it's life-sustaining because humans need peanut butter to live.
Yeah. Gives a whole new meaning to the idea of having your arteries clogged. But but okay, so number 5, Chinese. We figured out the number 1 is American. And, we'll set aside my objection to DoorDash's entire framing of what American food is.
Yep.
So we got 3 more we got to figure out. Is that right?
Correct. And you mentioned one of them.
Is it Italian?
We actually mentioned 2 of them. Yeah, so Italian's number 4.
Okay.
Now, if they include pizza in Italian, I'm surprised this is low, but they might be including pizza in American, like you said.
Right, but that's, again, proves my point. It's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm going back to this, but
No, go.
100 years ago, Italian food was perceived as immigrant food. there was a lot of anti-Italian prejudice and racism in America. Italian people were actually not considered white when they first started coming to America, nor were the Irish or the Jews. So Italian food was considered to be like dirty food for poor people.
Yeah.
Public health experts warned against eating too much garlic. They said that's why the Italians have such hot tempers, because they eat so much garlic.
Hot tempers?
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
This is what public health experts in America 100 years ago were saying.
Yeah.
And then over time, Italians assimilated into American culture, moved up the socioeconomic ladder. It went from being a sort of quote unquote dirty food for foreign non-white people. Italian people became accepted as white. Their food moved up the food chain as well. In the 1950s, you sort of had Lady and the Tramp, spaghetti and meatballs and all that, Chef Boyardee, Lady and the Disney scene with the dogs eating the spaghetti.
No, I know. I love thinking about those pop culture things that influence food consumption habits in America.
Right.
I had a note on Chinese. I forgot to read that. One theory is that it became really popular after the people saw Nixon eating Peking duck on a China trip in 1972. And that's when people started asking for authentic Chinese rather than chop suey, noodles, spring rolls, things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
So like in the 1950s, as Italians started moving into the middle class, Italian food became middle class. And then as the assimilation continued and Italians continued to move up the socioeconomic ladder, their culture was held in higher esteem. And in the 90s, you started to see sort of like regional Italian food and upscale Italian restaurants with white tablecloths where the pasta cost $20. And so you see a cuisine assimilate into American culture and become considered as American, but also move up the socioeconomic ladder as the people move up and the food becomes more highly prized and the prices go up. It starts to be perceived as something with more artistry and finesse.
The perception changes.
Right. Mm-hmm. But anyway, okay, so Italian food, we're not sure if it includes pizza.
We're not sure if it includes pizza, but I did anyway find a note on pizza, and it says that pizza arrived in the U.S. in the early 20th century, along with the waves of Italian immigrants who settled primarily in the large cities of the Northeast, which is, I also have a note, Italian food is most popular in Northeast America, probably no surprise.
Yeah.
Pizza got a boost in popularity and regional spread after soldiers stationed in Italy returned from World War II, which makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I believe the first restaurant to be licensed to make and sell pizza in America was Lombardi's in New York City in 1903, I want to say. And it's very interesting because there were a bunch of like Italian immigrants who worked in Lombardi's kitchen. And then after a period of time, they split off from Lombardi and opened up like 6 or 8 other pizzerias around New York that went on to become, with Lombardi's, like the most famous pizzerias in New York. And you had Patsy's, Titono's, there's several, there's a bunch of others. And then there were like descendants from those, like that split off. And, so you have this like lineage. There's a place in Brooklyn now called Giuliana's that's run by Patsy Grimaldi's, who founded Grimaldi's before he sold it. He, I believe, is the last person in America still making pizza today who trained under someone who trained under Lombardi.
Oh, that's crazy to think about. Like that history of food. Pizza is so a part of American culture now. Like, even though it has Italian origins, it might be like the most Americanized food there is. But like, to think that it only really arrived and popularized in America like 100 years ago or less, that's weird to think about.
Yeah. So you mentioned Mexican food. I'm guessing Mexican food's on our list. Is that right?
Yes, sir. We have number 2 and 3 left.
Okay.
Do you have any guess on where it lands?
2.
You're right.
Okay.
It's right behind American food, quote unquote.
Right.
Probably no surprise, but a Google search trends report shows that Mexican food is most popular in America in Arizona and Texas.
Yeah.
The cuisine didn't really catch on in America until the Mexican Revolution in 1910, when South and Central Mexicans joined their northern compatriots in seeking new lives, bringing them their food of their home origins. And Americans love Mexican food and tacos so much that tortillas began to outsell hot dog buns back in 2010. That never happened before that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting for me because I love tortillas. Flour tortilla, a homemade flour tortilla is probably my favorite food in the whole world.
It's up there for me. When I go to like on a Mexican restaurant, especially like a really authentic one, I'll just get a stack of tortillas and just eat them plain. I love them.
If I'm in any of the states that border Mexico, I will seek out homemade flour tortillas. I was just in California a couple weeks ago, and my wife was like, "What? Like, How about this place? I'm like, no, those only have corn tortillas, which are also good, but I want homemade flour tortillas.
Yeah. The flour tortillas are so good.
Yeah.
But I never would have guessed that they sold more than hot dog buns, though.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to hear that. More flour tortillas as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. You talked earlier about Chinese restaurants being so prevalent in America. Mexican restaurants are another one, and 9% of all restaurants in America are Mexican restaurants.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, don't forget, like a big swath of America used to be part of Mexico.
That's right.
So, do all those restaurants count as Mexican restaurants, Nick? Think about it.
I don't see. You got me rethinking it all now.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
You know, like are all the restaurants in Southern California technically Mexican restaurants because it used to be Mexico?
Mm-hmm. What do you call them then? California restaurants? You know?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. The point is, borders are just constructs, man.
We don't got time for that hippie shit here, Dan.
But Mexicans and Mexican Americans have a saying. They say, we didn't cross the border crossed us.
Right. That's so true.
So.
Yeah, that's right. We're coming for you next, Canada. Soon poutine will be an American food, right?
That's right. That's right.
You mentioned a specific food earlier that is extremely tied to a certain cuisine. Do you have that in mind for number 3?
What did I mention?
I just gave it away.
Sushi.
Sushi is what I should have said. Sushi. Japanese is the cuisine. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 3. According to Google search trends, meaning these are the places where Japanese food is searched most often, Hawaii, number 1. That makes sense, but North Carolina, number 2. Did not expect that. Over
for
like
Japanese
New York.
food?
Yeah, for Japanese food.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that, but that's cool.
So sushi. In the 1970s, sushi traveled from Japan to Canada and the United States. It was modified, though, to suit the American palate and re-entered the Japanese market as American sushi.
Did it say what they did to modify it?
It doesn't specify, but
all right.
I assume we put more unhealthy shit in it, you know? We made it unhealthier.
That's when the California roll was invented.
Yeah, the California roll was created in North America in the 1970s.
Right.
Yeah. So we got it. We got the top 5 cuisines ordered on DoorDash. That was number 5 Chinese, 4 Italian, 3 Japanese, 2 Mexican, and number 1, Dan's favorite, American.
All right. I'm going to send a note to DoorDash about this.
I encourage everyone listening to contact your representative, complain about DoorDash.
That's right.
Now we're going to look at the top 5 most individual dishes ordered on DoorDash, and these are all, with the exception of one, these are all very what people would think of as American food.
So these are the top 5 dishes.
Yep. And it's not very exciting. I'll just give you a spoiler. It's all kind of like...
All right. Pizza.
No.
Pizza is not one of the top 5 most delivered?
No. And I'm guessing, I didn't read this is my guess, that it's because a lot of pizza places will do, like, think of Pizza Hut. They will deliver themselves as well.
Right,
and people are kind of in the
DoorDash.
habit.
Right.
Well, I mean, they might be on DoorDash as well, but I think people like me, if I'm ordering a pizza from like a fast food pizza place, I usually will just go straight to the pizza place because that's how I've been trained my whole life is the pizza place will give you your pizza. Right. You don't have to go through DoorDash.
Right.
That's just a theory.
Okay, so no pizza on the top 5. Gosh, that is shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Burgers?
Yep. Cheeseburger is number 5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And is French fries separate on the list?
It is.
I'm so curious to unpack this list and know if they're counting the French fries as separate orders or if it's the fries that are coming with the burgers.
They don't specify, but I know some people, like my wife, will replace the fries with like a side salad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I would think if they're counting it as a separate line in their rankings, it must be a separate order because they're just crunching data. So they're just looking across all their orders and seeing like how many orders for French fries, how many orders for burgers.
But a lot of places, like I feel like more than ever now, a lot of like non-fast food places. So if you order a burger, you got to order the fries separate.
Right. I mean,
doesn't specify how they counted it.
If you want fries, just go out to eat. Just sit at the restaurant, okay? You'll get the fries. They'll be hot. They'll be crispy. They'll be delicious. There's almost no kind of French fry I ever met that I don't like. I mean, I could talk for hours about shapes and sizes. I mean, it depends on my mood. I love a good thick steak fry that's crispy on the edges. It's a real potato. I love waffle fries. I love the curly fries with that
Crinkle
sort of
cut.
orange seasoning on them. Yeah. I don't love them cut too thin because I think it's
Me
a
neither.
bad surface area to volume
Shoestring.
ratio. Yeah.
Agree.
I don't like shoestring or even like a little thicker than shoestring. Like it's just you get too much. Like, of course I want them to be salty, but French fries are not just like a salt delivery system,
Hmm.
So if the fries are too thin, then they have too much exterior in relation to the interior and they're going to be too salty, and you're not going to get that potato flavor. Good fries should have some contrast between the exterior and the interior. So it needs to be
Agree.
thick enough so you can have a crispy exterior and like a soft, creamy, pillowy, potatoey interior.
Pillowy. I love that.
Yeah, so it's got to be both. And if you are getting your fries to go, you're probably not going to get any of those.
I don't think I've ever gotten fries to go where I didn't eat most, if not all, the fries on the way home.
Right,
I just don't know if that's happened in my life.
I will say, have you ever had the experience, Nick, like sometimes when good fries turn bad, they're good in a bad, they're like good but bad but good. You know what I mean? Like they're like soggy.
I like those.
As long as they haven't been refrigerated, even those can be good, I have to admit.
I'm thinking like Five Guys fries
Yeah.
are kind of soggy-ish, or they're just so drenched in like oil and stuff.
Right.
I love those fries.
I mean, I'll tell you, we were on a family trip last summer with my wife's extended family. My nephew was eating a bag of fries, and my wife was like, "Hey, Gabriel, can I get some fries?"
Yeah.
He said no. He didn't want to give her any fries. Then
don't
he
blame
decided
him.
he was finished eating, and he threw the bag of fries in the garbage without offering her any, even
What?
after. And then he hadn't finished them. And Janie, my wife, was so upset.
Wow.
And I said, "Well, he just put them in the garbage. Are they still in the bag?"
No.
So I look in the
you can't pull a
garbage.
George Costanza.
I pulled the bag of fries out of the garbage, and my wife and I and my daughters ate all of those fries, and they were delicious. And they were kind of soggy, but they were still warm, though.
So you and your family said, "What the hell? I'm just going to eat some trash."
That's right. Basically, I in the course of this interview, Nick, I've gone from railing against anyone who would order takeout fries to admitting that I eat fries out of the garbage.
Out of the garbage. Well, we have a history of eating food out of the garbage on this podcast.
Oh, good.
But
So this is a safe space.
It's a safe space. But I want to ask you, so you've dropped kind of a hot take. It's not scorching hot, but kind of hot, that if you get French fries to go, you're an idiot. I'm attributing that quote to you.
Yeah, I mean, they're just not good.
I got to tell you my hot take.
Okay.
Sides that often accompany burgers. I've noticed that some places will offer you chips instead of fries.
Right.
My hot take is, fuck that.
Okay.
Anyone who gets chips with their burger instead of fries is a psychopath. There, I said it. I don't understand it.
Would rather have soggy fries than potato chips.
Me too.
So I'm with you on that, Nick.
Yeah.
But
We
I would
agree.
go even a step further. Like, I don't think I've ever ordered, like, not counting fast food burgers, which you might get at the drive-thru or whatever. But like, I have never in my life ordered a high-quality burger, like from a restaurant, to go or for delivery. I just would never, ever do that. Like,
You always eat it there.
I'm not a huge red meat eater, but when I am craving it, when I'm in the mood for a steak or a burger, I will either cook it myself, or if I'm going to go out, I'm going to eat it there.
Mm-hmm.
A burger also degrades quickly.
Yeah, they don't travel well. I agree
They
with
don't
that.
travel well, okay? I mean, what are you doing? Like, really? You can't go there? You can't just go and order it and sit down and eat it and take an extra 15 minutes out of your life and have it be as good as possible? Like, what's the point of being alive if you're not going to devote the time and energy required to
Point of
get a
being
good
alive.
burger? Like, those are the best things in life. Like, meals are the things that I look forward to all day. Like, I wake up in the morning and I know what I'm going to eat for the day and I get excited about it. Like,
Yeah.
don't shortchange yourself.
You should really start a food podcast. You seem like you really like food. What's the point of living? I think that's the quote.
Yeah, what's the point of living if you're not going to maximize pleasure at mealtime?
I agree. Now,
So, okay,
burgers.
So burgers, fries, those are on our list.
I
What
want to tell you
else?
one thing about burger real quick.
Oh yeah, please. Yeah, tell me.
Burgers, like pizza, are so ingrained in American culture, but they've only been in America since the 1890s. It's the earliest instance I could find. It was advertised in U.S. newspaper as a hamburger steak sandwich.
Yeah.
But by 1920, that's when cheese became popular on adding to burgers. But A&W Restaurants in Lansing, Michigan is credited with inventing the bacon cheeseburger in 1963. It blows my mind that no one thought to put bacon on a burger until 1963, right?
That's funny.
Yeah. So that's cheeseburger number 5. French fries is actually number 1, Dan. It's the number 1 item on the list.
These lists really are bringing me down, Nick. First list doesn't consider Chinese food to be American. The second list, people are ordering French fries for delivery or takeout. I mean...
Hey, don't shoot the messenger is all I got to say.
It's not your fault, Nick. I'm not blaming you.
Thank you.
Like, to me, the best foods to get to go are things that are going to be saucy. You know, like, texture does not travel well.
Mm.
All right? Because most things that are crispy and crunchy are going to be destroyed by being packed in a hot container and sealed.
Well, let's just call it like it is. I don't think there's any food that travels better than it is fresh right there when you get it, right?
True, but
yeah,
some are better or worse than others.
Sure.
Like barbecue. Barbecue travels very well. All right. Like if I'm ever going to have some kind of special food shipped to me, like during COVID, I went through a phase where I got tired, so sick of my own cooking. And I wasn't spending money to go out to eat anywhere or to travel anywhere. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to have ribs delivered from Kansas City.
Damn.
Why not? And I had a few different special meals. I had muffaletta sandwiches sent to me from New Orleans.
Oh, shit.
So I got some experience with the mail order. And what I learned in my experience is that the barbecue travels the best because it was invented to be a way to preserve meat. So it was sort of designed to last a long time. Barbecue, and it's also probably the most cost effective.
Yeah.
I found that you could get a bunch of racks of ribs sent to your house for not much more than what it would cost to go out to eat with your, and get a bunch of meat for a family of 4. Whereas like things like cakes were not cost effective. Like if you want to get a cake, was that also in Kansas City? There was a Lithuanian bakery that had some kind of wafer cake that I ordered.
Damn, that sounds good.
It was very good. But it was like $80 for a cake. And I was like, I'm never, ever going to do this again. I'm only doing this because I'm like sitting at home, depressed and bored.
Yeah, trying to distract myself from the pandemic, the end of the world.
So you want to talk about delivery? This is hardcore delivery.
That's the good stuff.
Only for special occasions and,
that kind of cross-country food delivery is becoming more and more popular.
Yeah. That's like Gold Belly that does it. But like I said, I think some foods travel better. I had some dumplings sent from somewhere that were not great. Those did not travel super well. The cakes travel well. They're just like not, like, I feel like the markup feels more outrageous. $70 for a cake is bananas to me. But like...
I thought you said it was cake. Sorry, bad joke. Go ahead.
But like you can get barbecue for 4 people from Kansas City for $135 on Gold Belly.
Fuck, I might have to be doing that tonight now. Ordering ribs from Kansas City.
Do it. I'm telling you, it's not cheap. Again, I wouldn't do it all the time. It's special occasions for me. But if you want to treat yourself and you're tired of the restaurants in your neighborhood and you don't feel like cooking, having ribs sent to your door is a pretty good way to live.
And that's a great segue for today's sponsor, Gold Belly.
Yeah, cut me in on that sponsorship, Nick. I want 50%.
Right? I think you sold most of it there.
Yeah.
Priceline presents Go to Your Happy Price. What's up? It's Kaylee Cuoco. When it comes to travel, we all have a happy place. You can see yourself already there. It's beautiful. It might be sunny and sandy for some, neon and urban for others, deserts or rainforests or hiking trails. With Priceline, you can get to your happy place for a happy price with deals you really can't find anywhere else. Like up to 60% off select hotels to Costa Rica or 5-star hotels for 2-star prices in Cabo. Go to Priceline.com and travel to your happy place for a happy price. All right, see ya. I'm off to Miami. No, actually, wow, look at that. No, I'm going to Hawaii now. Ooh, Cancun looks nice. You know what? Belize looks pretty nice this time of year. Or, Palm Springs.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Elevate your next brunch with help from Whole Foods Market. Everything you need with the quality you want. Like crispy organic pork bacon, plant-based entrees, and beautiful source for good flours that support worker communities. Get festive with Whole Food Market's selection of adult beverages, from sparkling wines to buzzless beers. And Prime members can take advantage of daily deals on bakery and prepared foods favorites perfect for brunch. Make brunch happen at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
We just have number 4, 3, and 2 left, and none of them are as
Okay.
exciting as ribs and cake from Kansas City. Real quick, I wanted to tell you about French fries, that the average American eats 30 pounds of French fries a year,
Yeah.
which actually doesn't sound like as much as I probably eat of French fries in a year.
Now I'm trying to think about like how much is 1 pound of French fries? Like if you ordered a side of fries at a place and they came like in one of those plastic baskets.
I don't know, like an eighth of a pound, I think? I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm gonna bring a scale next time I go out to eat.
Do it.
I'll find out. I'll let you know.
There's another potato item on this list.
In the top 5,
And this one surprised the hell out of me. I don't know why this is here.
is it baked potato?
No.
Mashed potato?
No. Breakfast.
Oh, hash browns?
Hash browns is the 4th most ordered item on DoorDash.
That's very interesting. I want to know, this data probably isn't in what you have, but what is the median time of day when
I
those...
have that.
Oh, really? Tell me.
Well, I don't know if I have exactly that. I have close to that.
Okay, tell me.
So the most popular time to order food, any food on DoorDash, Friday at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Breakfast is the fastest growing sector to
Okay.
whatever you want to call it, fastest growing meal type on DoorDash. Orders coming in between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. have increased threefold year over year.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the hash browns in particular. Are people ordering hash browns for delivery or takeout for breakfast? Or are they coming home drunk and then ordering like an omelet with hash browns at 2 o'clock in the morning? That's where I'm going.
63% of consumers report that they order alcohol delivery more than they did the year before.
Right. It's like you're getting the pre-party, the party, and the after-party all delivered to your house.
Yeah. To me, hash browns being above pizza or sushi or, I don't know, a million other things, that is wild to me. But it
Yeah,
must
that's weird.
be, yeah. The hash browns are called, depending on where you are in the country, sometimes they're called fried potatoes or home fries. Where I'm from, everyone calls them hash browns, but
When you have hash browns, are they shredded or are they cubed?
I like both, but I think I prefer the shredded.
See, to me, I would call the shredded potatoes hash browns and cubed potatoes home fries.
Mm-hmm.
So to me,
You're
those are
thinking
not
of like the McDonald's breakfast, right? The hash brown that they serve.
Yeah, or like even like there's a lot of diners that'll do hash browns that are just like shredded potatoes that have been like put on a griddle to be browned,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of come maybe not quite so much in a perfectly formed patty like a McDonald's, but they're kind of like a pile of shredded potatoes that are crispy brown on the top and bottom.
Yep.
To me, that's hash browns, and home fries is diced potatoes, sometimes with onions and peppers, sometimes not.
Yeah, I love that though.
They're both great, but to me, they're not interchangeable, the terms.
I agree, but I think that DoorDash is combining them here.
Okay. A
Yeah.
lot of liberties these DoorDash people are taking.
Right. Fucking DoorDash. Number 3 is, so French fries and hamburgers, cheeseburgers are very fast food staple items.
Right.
Number 3 is another one.
Another fast food staple, is it going to be like chicken nuggets, chicken fingers, chicken tenders, something like that?
Chicken nuggets and chicken sandwiches. Don't know why they combine them, but chicken nuggets and chicken sandwiches is listed at number 3.
Okay. That's respectable because I feel like I actually, here's a hot take for you.
Give it.
The
Drop it.
Popeyes fried chicken sandwich, which I love, I personally like it better after it sits.
This goes against like everything you've said so far.
Well, different things age differently, Nick.
You're right, but
So
been very heavy on the.
there's something about the breading that they use. Here's the thing. They put mayo or spicy mayo on. So any of the fried bits that are pressed up against the bun, between the fact that the condensation under the bun and the mayo that's touching them, they're going to get wet
okay.
and they're going to lose crisp very quickly no matter what, even when it's hot. Those parts are not crispy. The only parts of the sandwich that are crispy are the perimeter chicken bits that are sticking out of the sides of the bun where their heat can escape. There's no condensation and there's no mayonnaise or bun to contain that. So that's the crisp. That is the only around the perimeter edge.
Yeah, okay.
Something happens in the crevices when it cools a little bit. They don't lose their crunch. The crunch just becomes like denser and more satisfying. And so there is
Satisfying crevices. Got it.
They are satisfying crevices. They're delicious. And that's why I love the Popeyes fried chicken sandwich after it's cooled a little bit.
Okay, I respect that. Like a chicken sandwich, I don't need it to be piping hot and fresh to eat. I guess you're right there.
Yeah.
Popeyes has a good sandwich. I'd take Popeyes over, I don't know, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, same.
Although Chick-fil-A claims that they invented the fried chicken sandwich in the 1940s.
I mean, unlikely.
I also thought that seemed like just put chicken on a sandwich. Surely that's been done for a long time.
Yeah.
But they were the first to maybe
they were the first to sell it. Right.
Yeah. The chicken nugget was invented at Cornell University by a food science professor in 1950. The world record for eating the most chicken nuggets in 3 minutes is held by Thomas Wellborn. He ate 42 nuggets in 3 minutes.
Wow. I once won a chicken nugget eating contest.
You're kidding.
I ate 45 chicken nuggets.
What?
But there was no time limit, so it
Not in
wasn't
3
quite so
minutes.
fast. But it was still too many chicken nuggets, and I regret it.
What would you guess the time was on that you did that?
I mean, at a certain point you get full. It was probably over half an hour. Maybe 45 minutes.
See, because I think the quicker you do it, before your body realizes it's full.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
You got to get like 100 chicken nuggets in your esophagus.
They just line up like a conveyor belt.
Right. Because once they start getting into your stomach, you'll realize you're full. So you just got to get them all in before your body knows what happened to it.
See?
That's how you gorge, Nick.
This is free advice that we should be selling advice like this.
Kids out there, I hope you're taking notes. Yeah.
Last thing on chicken nuggets is on the most retweeted tweet of 2017 came when Carter Wilkerson, just some random guy, he tweeted to Wendy's and asked what it would take for them to give him a year of free nuggets. They told him to get so many retweets, and it got 3.5 million retweets. So people have a vast appreciation for chicken nuggets. And I respect
Wow.
the chicken nuggets are excellent.
I'm going to go tweet something to them and see if I can get that.
Yeah. You only need 3.5 million retweets. I'm sure you can.
All
do
right. All right.
Well, you just need number 2 on this list, and it's the only... Well, I'll stop there. It's Mexican food.
Burritos.
Burritos, and they also paired burrito bowls, which are
Right.
burritos and
okay.
burrito bowls is number 2.
Right.
Now, burritos have been around for a long time. Before the development of the modern burrito, the Maya civilization of Mexico used corn tortillas as early as 1500 BC to wrap foods. But the precise origin of the modern burrito is not known. Some have speculated that it may have originated with the vaqueros, the cowboys of northern Mexico in the 19th century, but they were first mentioned in the U.S. media for the first time in 1934.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What's your thought on burritos? I know you love flour tortillas.
Love flour tortillas. I love burritos. I probably eat fewer of them than I used to, only because they tend to be very big.
They're getting bigger.
Yeah, they're getting bigger. So I've probably segued to eating more tacos in my life because they're smaller and I can also get more different flavors and all that. And I like being able to season each one individually with the lime juice and the hot sauce and stuff.
Right. And when you go to a restaurant, you can say, give me 1 taco chicken, give me 1 taco
Exactly.
pork.
And they give you the fixings on the side and I can do them just the way that I want. But I do love a burrito. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. But like, you do have to be careful about putting too much wet stuff in your burrito.
That's what she said. But also, yes, I agree.
You don't want too much wet stuff and you don't want too much cold stuff.
There is a delicate balance. Sometimes I like the coldness of like a sour cream that counteracts the hotness of like a fresh burrito. But I know sour cream is not for everybody.
Yeah, but look, if you want to put some cold stuff in there that's to your liking, sure. I'm just saying that like you start putting in like multiple cold salsas, if you're at Chipotle and they're in the refrigerator section, or if you're taking them out of your fridge, and then you get the sour cream, if you're adding guac and all this, it's like you bite it, it ends up chilling the other components. So by the time you get to eat it, like the cheese is no longer warm, the chicken or whatever, the meat's room temperature, and the whole thing just feels, even though it was just made, it makes it feel kind of old, like it's been sitting out because it's not hot anymore.
But if it was your precious Popeye's chicken sandwich, you'd be just fine with that. But
That's
with
right.
burritos, you take issue.
Different situations.
Different situation, okay. Do you ever get the burrito bowl without the tortilla?
No.
Me neither.
Flour tortilla is where it's at.
I'm with you.
That's what I'm there for.
Yeah. Well, we did it. We did the top 5. Let me go back through them real quick. It was the 5 most ordered food items according to DoorDash in America in 2022. Number 5 is the cheeseburger. Number 4 is hash brown. Number 3 is chicken nuggets and chicken sandwiches. Number 2 is burrito bowls and burritos. And number 1, much to your dismay, is French fries.
Okay. Well, we got some work to do, America.
I have to say, like, hot, fresh French fries, I agree. I prefer to eat them right when they come out. Don't take them home. But when you get that perfect French fry, I don't know if there's a better food for me. That might be my favorite thing.
Good fries are very good. I'm with you on that.
But anyway, Dan, we did it. What'd you think?
Amazing.
More or less likely to order from DoorDash now?
About the same, I suppose. But I will think more the next time I order about what I'm going to order and why I'm going to order it and what travel's the best and what I'm really in the mood for and what really constitutes American food.
Yes, and I hope all of the listeners out there do the same. Stop being food racists, everyone. But Dan, before we go, I definitely want to give you another chance to plug anything you got going on, tell people where to find your show, anything coming up that you want to
I hope people will check out the Sporkful Food Podcast. We talk about a wide range of subjects related to food. Sometimes it's really fun. Sometimes it's more thoughtful. So wherever you get your podcast, check out the Sporkful. And you can buy my pasta-shaped cascatelli. It's in stores around the country now. But you can also just order it shipped to your door from Sfoglini. That's SFOGLINI.com. They also have my other two shapes that I recently launched called Quattratini and Vesuvio. So these are pastas that are specially designed to hold a ton of sauce and be especially satisfying to bite into, and they're really high-quality pastas. So if you haven't had that kind of pasta before, check it out.
Quattratini. That looked epic, game-changing. I'm going to get some of that.
Yeah. It's not like any pasta you've eaten before. I can promise you that.
So listeners, check out the Sporkful, buy that pasta. I'm going to put links in the show notes. You have no excuse not to go do that. Dan, thanks again.
Thanks, Nick. Take care.
Yep. Bye.
The whole thing is fucked up.
You're on the edge with Andrew Gold, and that's true crime legend Amanda Knox.
The out-of-control, drug-addled whore Amanda Knox.
If you like interviews with the world's most extreme and controversial people, then you'll love On the Edge with Andrew Gold. Here's me talking to a real-life psychopath.
How would you feel if somebody came in now and just started strangling me?
Well, I do not feel connected to you, Andrew.
I take you inside cults such as the Westbrook Baptist Church.
Do you see any part of your father in you?
I see something in me that reminds me of something that I despised in him.
I thought I was going to die out there.
I'll talk with intellects such as Richard Dawkins.
It's funny to think of insects having sperm.
Well, how else do you think they reproduce? Happens to all of us.
Before we delve into the darkest of minds.
Was there violence? Yes.
I want them to string me as a skeleton, and then I can hang in my own dissecting room and teach for the rest of my death.
Find it wherever you get your podcasts. That's On the Edge with Andrew Gold.
If you had the right information, could you create a better life? I'm Chris Stemp, the host of Smart People Podcast, one of the best podcasts you've probably never heard of. My producer John and I started the podcast 12 years ago when we got burnout on corporate America and wanted to figure out a better way. We asked top global experts for their advice on how to be better. Brene Brown taught me about connection.
We are neurobiologically at a cellular level wired to be in connection with other people.
Simon Sinek schooled me on curiosity.
You have to be interested to understand why things work as opposed to just accepting things on blind faith.
And Dr. Srini Pillay changed my life.
Would you like to live an exceptional life? Then how come every time you talk about your life, you talk about it in terms of probability?
Every other week, we spend about an hour with a true expert in a new field. Subscribe or follow Smart People Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and learn more at smartpeoplepodcast.com.